Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today I'm going to be working on the all-motor EK sedan that I just picked up in the last video. Thanks for all the positive support on that. The video did pretty good, and yeah, so like I said, this thing is super clean, and I picked it up from a guy down in Tennessee, and it has a built-up K24 in it. It's funny how I always kind of go to the rear quarters just to show the fact that it's all original, no rust. It's just awesome for being in Wisconsin. So anyways, in the last video I was talking about how possibly the engine noises that we're hearing is detonation. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm actually going to swap the car over to E85 because the car's currently on pump gas and it has 12.5 to 1 compression pistons. So I know I probably can tune it on pump gas, but why not try to actually get some real good power out of it? And let's pour some corn juice in it, some E85, and really see what this thing can do. So the car did make about 245 horsepower on pump gas with the tune that is in it, and I would assume that I could probably make around 250 or so if I really optimized the tune up on pump gas. Maybe more, maybe less, I'm not really sure, but we're gonna see. We're just gonna jump right to the E85. I don't really want to waste any time. I don't plan on running pump gas in this car, so we're just gonna swap it over. So K-Series are pretty simple to swap injectors. There's just 2 bolts on the fuel rail here, and this has a K-tuned rail. Pretty nice piece. And yeah, so we're just gonna pop the rail off, and then we got to unplug the injectors. This has a rye wire harness that's labeled very nicely. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we can pop the rail up. Sometimes they're a little sticky. The O-rings like to stick into the manifold a little bit sometimes. Oof. Lots of fuel coming out. I better get a rag and clean all this up. But pretty much we're going to yank the injectors out of the rail. And there is our Acura RDX injector. I wonder if you could decap these things. Decapped RDX injector. I wonder how that would go. Wow, this fucking rail holds a lot of fuel. Alright guys, so I got the RDX injectors removed, and you already know what we're going to be putting in. This is a set of Hunter tuned 1000cc injectors, and you can see the RDX injector is virtually the same thing as the Hunter tuned 1000 as you know, height and stuff like that. But yeah, the only difference being is these flow more fuel, and the electrical connector is different on the RDX injector. So I know the RDX injector uses like a kind of a weird style connector. I don't even know what it's called, but my injectors use an EV6 connector, and I have adapters to convert from, like, you know, the typical Honda harnesses, but not the RDXs. So in this case, I'm just going to opt to switch the pigtails out for a set of EV6. And we're just going to get these things put in. It should be pretty much a direct bolt-on deal. K-Series are very easy to swap injectors into because they're literally plug and play into a K-Series. So yeah, let's get them thrown in, and then we'll move on to starting the car up on the new injectors and see how easy we can get the thing to start up on a bigger set of injectors. You want to know another thing I hate about pump gas? Is it smells really bad. Obviously you pull injectors out, fuel's just going to kind of go all over, and when you got E85, you know, it kind of just evaporates and it's just gone, and it smells like corn on the cob. So I think E85 is overall the better option. But I did get the injectors all installed into the K-tuned fuel rail, and I got the pigtails on. So yeah, there's the Hunter tuned 1000s down in there. And we're gonna see how this thing does. I'm gonna try to throw the laptop on it quick, and we're gonna enter the injector data and see how close it is. Like I said, this tune wasn't really perfect from the start, so we might have to do a little bit of fiddling, but let's see how it goes. We got the wideband kind of wired just right to the fuse box currently, so I still have to permanently mount the wideband, but we'll at least be able to get a reading on the air fuel. This is my high-tech power supply for my wideband. Alright guys, we're into the K-Pro now. We're going to go to injectors, change it from 410 to 1000, and then we're going to implement the dead times. Sometimes you have to change the voltage on this. Usually I change the middle one to 12 volts. Let's see here. And then change this one to 10 volts. And change this one to 8 volts. Now it matches the sheet. And we can implement the data. I have it on my phone here. 1 second. We're going to throw the data in. I don't even have it in my phone. I'm just going to call Christine. She's a beast. Christine knows this by heart. My fiance knows my dead times. Hey, babe.
Hello.
I was just wondering what the dead times for the thousands are. I kind of forgot.
2.33.
Yep.
1.86.
Yep.
1.46.
Yep.
1.12.
Yep.
0.85.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. Alright, so now that we have the data implemented, I'm going to start the car and we'll see kind of how close everything is. Seems like it's running okay. But it's pretty rich. But I just remembered actually that the fuel pressure on this car is actually set to like 55. So let's just check for fuel leaks too while we're out here. Looks good. Yeah, you can see it's falling now, but we're gonna actually just loosen this jam nut and get to an Allen wrench and then turn it out counterclockwise, and that should get our pressure back down to around 40. That's what I'm gonna shoot for, is about 40 psi fuel pressure, and we'll check again and do a little bit of tweaking if we need to. Alright guys, so I got the car up and running, and I pretty much went through the base map a little bit, and this is how it's idling currently. This is still on pump gas, but it's nice and smooth, and we're idling right around like a 14.0 or something. 14, so on pump gas, pretty good idle quality with the thousands. And I did have to take the injector size and up it a little bit to pull some fuel out of it. You can also do that by just pulling fuel from the map, or you could also do the fuel trim thing where you can take out overall fuel trim on the Honda. So that'll kind of get you in the ballpark. You can play with this. You can play with the injector size. I went up to like 1300. I'll probably have to go back down to 1000 once I put E85 in it. Or you can just take the fuel map itself and pull fuel out of it. So I went through and I took all of the fuel maps and I made them all the same. So what I do is I just highlight the entire fuel map and I Control C. So Control C, and then I go through 0 degree, 10 degree, 20, 30, 40, etc. and I make them all the same. That way when I'm adjusting, I hit edit all tables and I can just tune one map instead of tuning them all. Alright guys, I got the car dialed in a little bit better than it was on the tune that I bought it with, and it's still on pump gas. So I want to do one dyno run real quick while it's still on pump gas and see if we made any more power than the base map that it had. so I've been tuning on the K24 here, and I've got the fuel map pretty dialed in, and I've played around with some cam angle. Haven't done a whole lot of ignition because it's on pump gas, but I will tell you 1 degree did pick up like 4 horsepower. So I know it's under timed currently, but at least the fueling is a lot better than it was on the other map. But it's making the same exact power. Like 243 to 245 is about what I'm getting consistently for horsepower. And like I said, I could probably get a little bit more out of it if I put some timing in it, but I don't really want to put timing in it on pump gas. I'd rather swap the fuel out for ethanol and then put a couple degrees of timing in it, as well as putting E85 in. And I'm hoping we can clear 250. But this thing, like I said, it just kind of falls off up top. No matter what I'm doing with the cam angle, I can pull the cam angle down to 10 degrees or 5 degrees of cam angle up top, and it still just goes flat. I'll show you here on the curve. This is just a horsepower curve. So after about 7,000 RPM, you can see it just quits making power. It just starts going flat, and you know, it's just not doing a whole lot up there. So at 6,500, we're making 241 horsepower, making 244 at like 7,200. So it's making like 2 or 3. I guess it's still kind of climbing, but it really falls off after that. Sorry, I'm not filming what I need to be. Versus down here, you can see the power is really climbing, but it gets to a point where it kind of plateaus. And like I said, no matter what I'm doing with cam angle and stuff, it's just not like bringing it up. When I first started tuning K-series stuff, I always thought like you can just keep retarding the cam and it will continue making power. But sometimes there's mechanical limitations like this intake manifold that I think is holding it back for top end power. But it still makes a grunt load of torque and a grunt load of mid-range. And I'm hoping we can improve the entire power curve once putting E85 in. So let's, I feel like I'm not gonna waste much more time on pump gas. I've already done like 20 dyno runs just playing around, and the motor sounds really good. No weird noises. It's lasted 20 pulls, you know, so it's gotta be pretty decent, I would think. But at least I got a map for pump gas on the thousands, and we can try a map on E85 next. Pretty much just got to add fuel to the current map, and that should get us a pretty good baseline for E85. Typically the E85 stuff isn't going to want as much fuel, like idling and stuff, as it will wide open. Usually when there's more of a demand for fuel, it wants more than when it does at idle and cruising. So I'll probably only have to add like 20% or so at idle and cruise, but I'll probably have to add 30 to 40%, you know, mid-range and top end. So that's kind of a good rule of thumb that I try to go off of. And by the way, guys, I'm making the same power after 20 pulls and heat soaking the shit out of this thing. So I'm not too down on it, but I am a little bit frustrated I couldn't find more power just in tuning. You know, sometimes it just is what it is, and you can't find a whole lot of power in some of these all motor setups. Like sometimes, as long as they're in the ballpark, they just make that power and that's it. And without swapping parts or changing stuff. Another thing too is this only has the 20 degree or the stock 24 degree wheel for the cam angle, so I can only go to 23 or 24 degrees. It won't let me go any farther. So that would definitely help us. I don't know if I can with these pistons, if I can put a 50 degree wheel in it or not. That'd be something for you guys to let me know on. I don't know if it would safely clear the pistons if I put like a 50 degree wheel in it. So yeah, drain the rest of the fuel out of it, go to the gas station, get some corn. And like I said, I'm kind of down on this thing right now, and it might just be because it has pump gas in it, but I'm not really sure. how much power it's going to pick up on E85. You guys should put it down in the comments how much you think it's going to gain just from putting the fuel in. And then after we do that, we'll add some timing to the tune and see if it picks up any power there. But I can't remember exactly what my Integra made on pump gas, or if I even bothered. I think it made like 225 or 230 on pump, and then I think it made 240 on E85. And I'm hoping this thing will do the same, at least the same, or more. Because it's high compression, it might benefit from the E85 more, but some setups don't even care. Like, you can pour E85 or methanol in the thing and it doesn't even make any more power. I don't know, some setups are like that and some aren't. Plus, like I said, this intake manifold I feel like is killing it. I don't know. I'm not an expert with K-series stuff, guys. I'm learning and trying to document the process. All right, guys, so I got all the fuel drained out of it and just went to the gas station. I got 6 gallons of E85 and it's been running for like not even a minute, and it's already like 17, almost 18 air fuel off the gauge. But it's still idling fairly smooth at that air fuel. It's just, she's starting to stumble a little now, so we'll go to our fuel injectors, and I'm going to change this back to 1,000. See if that gets us in the ballpark. Close. A little bit closer, but we'll still need a little bit more. So we're gonna go in here. Gave it 10 on idle. Probably gonna give it 35 on the wide open section, and we'll probably give it like 20 through here. 20. Oh, that's what I hate about K-Pro. You can't do like the instantaneous changes or whatever. So the VTEC side, we're just gonna plop 35% in it. Seem a little bit more responsive, actually. So the timing in this thing is around 26 degrees, way up top, about 23, 24 in the 6500 area. I'm not going to touch the timing. We're going to kind of leave that alone for now. We're just going to do a pull real quick. I might just drive it for a second and make sure everything is fairly happy. I might have added too much fuel to idle. Let's go back and change that. Alright, I'm going to get the door open in the shop. Let's do a tug. Tug-a-lug. didn't really pick up that much power. I don't know why, I just like had this feeling like it wasn't gonna pick up a ton. It did pick up in the mid-range, like right around 5,000 or so. It went from 192 foot-pounds to 199. So we picked up like 7 foot-pounds in the middle, but it made no difference peak power. And up top, it's, you know, virtually the same. You can see the green and the blue are the power. And you can see the green one is actually the new one. It makes about the same power peak, but you know, I revved it a little bit higher and it just fell off up there. So I might try a different cam angle from like 6,000 and above and try to pull some out, but I don't know. It picks up good, like I said, through this stretch, but up here it just ain't enough, man. I don't know. It's choked up somewhere. And I'm thinking it's the intake manifold, but I'm not 100% sure. I was really hoping we could pick up like 10 horsepower and see 250 wheel out of this thing, but I don't know if it's really gonna happen. I figured it would have made a little bit more power, but damn. Yeah, like I said, sometimes these all motor cars, they don't really respond to E85. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Usually you'll see some sort of gain, but this is like pretty minimal in my opinion. I figured it would have picked up almost everywhere on the curve, but it didn't. We could try a little bit more ignition timing and see where that leads us, and then maybe pull some cam angle out way up top. I don't know. We'll see. All right, we're getting fancy. I pulled off the filter. And we got the cone, or the intake elbow, facing forward, kind of into the fan here. And we're gonna see what this does. Maybe that filter's a little restrictive. I really wanted to see 250 out of this freaking thing. I might also taper the angle down to, well, I should probably just do one like this, so I'm not wondering what does what. But I just hate doing pull, 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 pull constantly. I'd rather try to make something huge happen on one hit, and that just doesn't happen with all motor stuff. You really gotta frickin' take every little thing and make it perfect. Where a turbo car, you can just be like, oh, give me another pound of boost. Alright guys, so that's really all this thing's gonna do. I tried numerous different settings, different cam angles. I actually pulled the cam angle down to 10 degrees at like 8,000, and it still is just falling off up top. Like the cam angle's doing virtually nothing. It's actually changing on the tune, but it's not making a difference in power up top. I have like 29 degrees of ignition in it, and it likes it in the mid-range, but it doesn't do anything up top. So I think in the middle I have like 25 degrees. I could probably bump that up to like 26 or 27 and maybe make another like 2 horsepower in the middle, but up top it's capped. Like it's all she's got, dude. 246.20. 246.2 is the best I made on it. So I only picked up like a horse and a half from the tune that the car had when I got it, and switched it to E85, but it did pick up 10 foot-pounds of torque in the mid-range, and that's where we saw our gains. We did not see the gains peak power, because you can see up top, it literally does the same exact thing as what it did when I got it. But in the middle, it did pick up 10 foot-pounds through here. You can see the difference. So I guess that's kind of cool. 10 foot-pounds at 5,000 to 6,000 is, you know, it's probably noticeable, but it's just frustrating, man. I want this thing to scream. 9,000 RPM. It's just not gonna do it. I don't know if it's the intake, if it's the cams. You know, if this, maybe if I have a stock K20A2 head. If I put, because a lot of guys do the 24 bottom with the 20 top. And I think if I put the K20 top end on it, or the K20 cylinder head, then it would really come alive. But I'm not sure. I don't really know. I think I should just be happy with 200 and pretty much 250 horsepower. 246. I can't say it's 250, but it's pretty close to 250. It doesn't seem to make any difference power when it's hot or cold. It doesn't seem to make a difference when I put that, when I flipped the pipe forward and took the filter off, it made zero difference. Switching to E85 made a little bit of power in the mid-range. That's it. That's all it did. I really kind of figured it would have done more. It's a little frustrating, to be honest, but that's what you get with all motor cars. You know, unless we're bolting different parts on, tuning can only do so much, you know. As long as it's in the ballpark and it's happy, which it is, I should be happy though. I really should. This thing has taken a huge beating on the dyno today. I want to say I've probably done 30 pulls on the dyno, just, you know, checking stuff out and whatnot. 246, it's not terrible. I really can't bitch. That's like the most power I've ever had in an all motor car, but still. Oh, I wanted 250 so bad. Damn it. But I actually had another car come in. It was like earlier this year. It was an Accord that was tuned. It was a K24. He had it tuned like, you know, whatever, and he brought it to the dyno, and I tried tweaking some stuff, and it didn't make any difference. Like, I played with cam angle and all that kind of stuff, and it just doesn't, you know, it just didn't do any different. And I felt bad, and I'm like, dude, I didn't make any more power. And sometimes you just can't make any more power than what's already there. But I do think if we change the airflow of the motor with the intake, or maybe something with the exhaust, I don't know. I'm probably just gonna frickin' leave it, I'll be honest. Maybe we'll shoot it with some nitrous or something. That would be kind of fun. But for now, it seems super healthy. It sounds great. And I can't wait to go rip it on the street. Another thing to note, possibly, is this thing with the stock intake, it also has the stock throttle body. So maybe that's another thing that's kind of holding it up on the top end, is stock throttle body and intake manifold. Maybe if we put a 70 mil throttle on it with different intake manifolds, maybe I'll grab another one from Jack Spania Racing. I'd be really curious. I bet you it would pick up some power up top. I would consider possibly doing a set of cams, but I don't know if I want to. I don't know. Alright guys, so I'm in the garage now, and I figured I'd bring the RDX 410cc injectors and throw them into the flow machine and compare them to the Hunter Tune 1000s, which we just put into the car. And I just wanted to kind of verify that the spray patterns are good on the RDX 410s, because I had a guy on my Facebook actually tell me that the RDX 410s are probably going to make more power because the spray pattern is better. And I had another guy tell me that it's going to lose power because the injectors were a downgrade. So you guys know I've been selling the Hunter Tune injectors now for about a year. I've been selling decapped junkyard LS injectors prior to that for the last like 5 years. And I've been doing the best I can to try to maintain a good reputation and give the best product for the money, but still sometimes people don't understand all the time that these are a budget injector, and I'm doing the most I can for the price allotted on these injectors. They run better than, honestly, some really expensive injectors that I've had in the past. I've tuned a lot of people's really expensive injectors as well that were brand new out of the box, and I've had issues with every name brand injector. I've had really good luck with shit out of the junkyard. So I just try to do what economically makes sense to me, and that's what I try to do for you guys as well, and that's where kind of huntertune.com came from, and what I'm going to try to do and continue doing from here on out. But you know, you guys got to remember that I don't know if there's any other injector that competes with mine for the amount of money. For the price point, yeah, I try my hardest. I'm sure I could deliver a better product if they were triple the price or 4 times the price, but they're not. And I've always catered to the guys on a budget, so that's what I'm gonna keep doing. And I appreciate everybody's support. I've been trying to keep up the customer service, trying to respond to emails as best as I can, and I'm also trying to alleviate any issues if anybody has any. The only issues to speak of so far that I've had with the Hunter Tune injectors over the last 1,000 or so sets that I've sent out is I've had a couple issues with the filters inside of these injectors clogging, which can be coming from your fuel lines or your fuel tank or something like that, because the filters inside the Hunter Tune injectors are actually really good. They're really fine, but they do clog up. If you have some, you know, kind of, you know, harsh fuels and stuff like that, the filters inside can clog, and if you're sketched out, honestly, I just tell people to rip the filters right out. That's the only thing that I've had problems with, and everybody that has had an issue that has actually reached out, I feel like has gotten their issue fixed and resolved free of charge. I don't offer a lifetime warranty. It's kind of impossible to do that with this kind of a product, but I do my best to help you guys out as much as possible, and 99% of the time I'm just going to send you back a set that is great if you had issues with your first set. And a lot of times I've had people blame the injector for an issue, and it wasn't the injector at all, and it's tough. And that's part of the reason, like, remote tuning for me is tough, and I've kind of explained this in a few other videos where I've kind of stopped remote tuning, because it's way better when I can have the vehicle with me and I can actually hear it and I can figure out what's going on, instead of trying to diagnose something over the phone, or diagnose an injector problem over an email. It's tough. So if you got issues, send them back. I'll gladly flow them, check them, send you a video uncut of me opening the package and everything and putting them in the machine, so you know I'm not scamming you or whatever. I'm doing my best, guys, and I really appreciate everybody's support, but just remember, I'm a one-man show. These are budget injectors, and I think they're the best for the money. My thing still stands true with the video I made last year on these things. I still think they're the best injector for the money. New injector. You can go get junkyard shit that might work pretty good too for cheaper, but for a new injector, I don't think you can beat it. Alright guys, so I got the 410s in the machine, and I'm just testing them right now, checking out the spray pattern, and kind of hard to see it. There you go, you can see the spray pattern now. You can see it's kind of just a V. The spray pattern is just like a V shape. I don't know if you can see that, which isn't a bad pattern. It's not the best in my opinion. I prefer like a full cone for a good, you know, good spray pattern that a lot of people talk about. There is a lot of injectors that run really good that are just like a piss stream, but if people consider this a really good spray pattern, I got some Chinese 550s that'll put these things to shame. Coming soon on huntertune.com. They're a Chinese injector, guys, you guys know that, but they're Bosch internal. The important stuff is quality. The body, the plastic, all that kind of stuff, Chinese. I already see a little bit of variance, not bad on these. About 1% or 2 though. These two are higher than these two. Yeah. And another thing too, some people complain about the injectors being hard to tune. But a lot of times they're comparing the injector to something like this RDX 410, which is, in my opinion, really small. Let's just compare the Hunter Tune 1000s real quick. Damn it, it's really hard to like capture the spray pattern on camera. Yeah, it's really hard to capture it and get a good image of the pattern. I don't know if you can see, but these Hunter 2000s have a way wider spray pattern than the V shape of the RDX. And maybe the V shape pattern is better. I don't know. I'm not an injector expert. I'm really not. But yeah, so now you can see the little bit of variance we have with the RDXs. One's at 70, one's at almost 80. These ones are at like 75, 77, something like that. So there's some variance there, not too bad. So that'll probably be the next video. We'll go take this thing out for a rip and see what 250 horsepower all motor really feels like in a full weight sedan. If this thing was in like a gutted hatch, damn, it would really boogie. But that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless. Thanks for subscribing and liking and commenting. Let me know what you guys think. What am I doing wrong here? I don't know. See you later. God bless.